Good morning, everyone, and a very warm welcome to the next of our product feature webinars. I'm Fiona, and again, I'm joined today by Eloise, and we're delighted to have so many of you join us. Today, we're going to take you through an introduction to FLG. So for those of you who've not seen the system before, you'll get more of an idea of the type of functionality you can expect to get from FLG. So it's all about lead conversion today. And before we get started and I hand you over to Eloise, I just want to give you a little bit of background information on who FLG is. Obviously, I'm aware that some of you are new to our product. So you can see that we've actually been around for nearly 2 decades, and we are now part of the ClearCourse group since 2020. ClearCourse is a software and payments organization, and it allows us to be part of a bigger organization and have the backing to enable us to develop our products further. And it also means that we've got access to a wider pool of people to help us with this as well. FLG is the lead conversion system for smaller teams in the UK, and we deal with all types of industries. So no matter if you are a mortgage broker, insurance, you're a sole trader or a massive big brand, we basically have a product that functionally can be configured to handle your requirements. So the great news is that we're built and supported in the UK, and some of the reasons I'm just going to show you now of why people love FLG is the top one speaks for itself. We've got over 5,000 customers, and we're very proud of our 4.8 score on Trustpilot. We've also, something that we're very proud of is that we're a people's first team. So you will always have a human at the end of the line, and and have regular interactions with the team. The other things that people really enjoy is that we have free setup, and it's very quick to get going. So we pretty much can say that we will have you up and running within 30 days, which is a really great thing. So there's no big long configuration or implementation required there. Some of the stats here, we can boost conversions by 35%, and you can really reduce your admin time. And all of that is helping to get you much better reviews from your customers. So without further ado, I'm going to pass over to Eloise, and I hope you enjoy the demonstration.
Perfect. Thank you, Fee. So hi everyone, I am Eloise, and I have been with ClearCourse now for around 4 years. I did start out as an account manager at FLG, so if you have been a previous user of us, we may have communicated at some point, but I'm now working within the new business side, so to help you and your businesses get your new platform ready, and obviously help boost your conversions. So I'm just going to start by sharing my screen, and then we can obviously jump into the demo. So I will be giving you a high-level overview today of the platform. Essentially, all that is going to mean is that I'm going to give you a clear understanding of how the platform works and the value it can bring to you and your business. So this session is going to just be designed specifically around introductions to FLG, and also around how we can explore how this can work for you and your business day to day. So just starting off, essentially what you're going to have is your individual dashboard that is going to be greeted to you and your team, where you'll receive all of your email responses, text message replies, and any tasks that are due that day. So as you can see here, I do have some that are color coded. It will tell you if they're overdue, due soon, or obviously if they're due in a few hours. And you will have the ability to flip between different days, months, and or time to view what is up and coming. So essentially, you're going to have no more to-do lists, no more sheets of paper everywhere, or spreadsheets telling you what needs to be done. Everything will be automated within the platform for you to just tick off as and when needed. For any admins or team members, you will also have the ability to flick between different users' dashboards, whether that is a group of people, so maybe like a sales team, or also individual users as well. So if you do have people on annual leave and you do need to pick some work up, you can absolutely do that by just selecting their name and seeing any email replies or responses that are already within there. You will then also have at the bottom here the option for bulk actions. So that means that if you do know you are going to be away, you can actually redistribute to another user. You can also defer by a couple of hours or a couple of weeks as well, or alternatively, bulk mark as complete rather than you individually selecting each of these. You can open up the lead directly from within here, so it will take you to that client profile, or alternatively, you can just select and tick that off. We do have a few ways from within FLG's platform to bring the leads directly into the system. So we do have the option here on the left for your tools. So that can be to import leads, whether that is a CSV file or an XML. You just select the lead group that it is, make sure that the mappings are all correct and import it in bulk, as well as the ability to update the leads. So if at any point you needed to update them, you can absolutely do that by just updating them within the platform. We do also have the option to capture leads. So maybe if you've got an inquiry form on your website, you need an iframe or an API, FLG will help provide that API for you to be able to link the two together. The same with lead providers or any social media platforms. So I know that people are using things like TikTok at the minute is a big one, as well as Instagram, Facebook. We can get your leads to come directly into the platform. Once all of your leads are in the system, essentially what you're going to have then is your pipeline. So that will be all of the leads that you have within the system will show here. You've got your filters on the left-hand side where you can choose different date ranges of what's coming maybe in the last month, last week, as well as different filters around statuses or assigned user as well. Once you've got them within the platform, what you can do, rather than filtering these out every single time, is choosing the option in the top right-hand corner for your pin searches. So you can actually save them and categorize your leads, making sure that obviously all of your stuff is up to date. So here's just some examples that I have within here. Obviously, I do a lot of demos for different industries, so I've categorized them that way. On my internal FLG account that I use day to day, I've got mine set up per status so that I can see exactly how many customers are on a free trial and how many people I've contacted, maybe how many demos I've also got booked. So it is completely customizable for each individual user to have exactly the stuff that they need to view their pipeline. Once you're happy with your setup and you can want to open up the lead, you do have the option for a quick view where you can quickly have a look at all of the details on there, or alternatively, you can actually open up the lead directly in the platform. So this is essentially going to be your source of truth. So everything that you have on that customer, all of the data that you've acquired throughout the process of contacting them, whether that is through inquiry forms, whether they've filled maybe fact finds out, all of your data will be captured within the platform. So if I just select edit here, what you'll find is you've got all of your standard details. So these are the ones that are hard coded into the platform. So things around your contact details, maybe their addresses, but we then do have the option for the additional information as well. So with the additional information, these are fully customizable. You will get up to 50 additional fields with all different data types, whether that is drop downs, selections, currency boxes, date ranges, whatever the type of data is that you need to capture can be inputted into the platform. And the good news is that all of these are reportable as well. So we can actually later down the line pull reports on this type of information that you're getting. So here's just an example of how it would look for a mortgage industry, the types of questions that you might ask day to day, obviously that they can fill in internally, or that we can also send out externally within some sort of fact find that the customer can complete in their own time. You will then at the bottom here have their contact preferences, so whether they have opted in or out. So that will mean that if you do have any automation set up and they have maybe opted out of email replies, it will just skip them in the workflows just to make sure that they obviously don't receive any marketing emails that they're not supposed to. You'll then have the cost value and billing of that lead, as well as their source details. So where has that source actually come from? You can see here I've got a few options around website, social media platforms, maybe if it's been a referral, but essentially these are fully customizable as well. Well, you would provide us with the marketing sources you're wanting, and again, we can later then report on them. So these should automatically fill in no matter where the leads come from. So if it has come from an Instagram campaign you've done, it will automatically populate that within here so that it isn't another manual task that you need to do. So now just dropping back to the lead record, what you'll now see when I scroll down essentially is every single communication from start to finish of what has happened on that lead. So from the first email inquiry, they've received obviously a text message and an email from the team just to let them know that we've received it and we'll be in touch shortly. And that has happened automatically just from it being received into the platform. You'll then see I've got a few different examples of notes, telephone calls, as well as obviously documents that they could have uploaded or you could have uploaded internally as well. But you will have that full audit trail of every single thing that has happened. Again, from an admin perspective or an audit trail, you can also view every single thing that has happened behind the scenes as well. So you can see I've had a look at the lead a few times. I've also started a fact find, and you can actually see any webhooks automations that have run in the background as well. So say, for example, if something has gone wrong or say, for example, another user has left, you can absolutely have a look at that audit trail to see exactly what has happened behind the scenes as well. Now that we're on the lead, obviously what we do try and do is automate as much of this as possible, but you will essentially have the option to create things within the platform on a manual basis if you do prefer. So just using the drop down new, you have the option to add things like tasks. If you do want to create a new task that is due, it will tell you if you have anything else that is also due at that time, just so that you can manage your diary better. And then you will also have the option around different events, notes, as telephone calls, all the way up until the documents. With the documents, it is just a case of the drag and drop in. We can include these in email or text message links as well out to the client, where the customer can actually upload them themselves. You will then be notified, obviously, that this has been uploaded, just to save that manual process of you chasing or having to upload these yourself and downloading them into your device. Once that's all been updated, obviously you will see that it will drop into the audit trail at the bottom. You don't need to click anything else. Essentially, everything will just come into the platform and go out of the platform within one place and all be automated throughout that process. Moving on to the actual automation stages, what we try and do essentially is trigger them by the different statuses. So as you can see here, I have plenty of different options that I can choose from. Again, fully customizable to you and your business needs. So if you do currently have different tags for different stages, we can import them into FLG and make sure that everything remains the same in regards to your process. You will then have the option to select these. So what each of these will essentially do is trigger something else to happen within the system. So as you can see, just off the back of me selecting that one button, it's moved across my pipeline and it's also updated the status automatically. And if I scroll down at the bottom here, I can see a new workflow has begun. So I do currently have this as pause until complete. So I am just going to tick that task off here. And what that's going to then do is trigger the next automation to happen. So as you can see, a new email has then gone out and a new workflow for no answer is due to start tomorrow at 11 a.m. So this just means that off the back of you selecting that one stage, you now have different workflows, different chasers, reminders, and tasks that are going to be going to you and the client rather than you manually chasing that lead. This will just help with your conversions. So if you are busy, if you are on meetings, you do have that follow-up process with the team and also with the client themselves. We can also include things like booking links. So if it was no answer, for example, they can receive a booking link to book that extra time in with you, rather than that back and forth of trying to find your availability and holding that lead for longer. I do know obviously that if people are buying leads can sometimes be really, really expensive. So it is just a case of making sure that each of these statuses and these stages essentially trigger something else to happen so that you're constantly warming them leads up, you're nurturing them, and you are getting your money's worth once it comes back as a conversion. You will also have the option as well to change the user. So if you do want to assign it to a different group or user within the system, then you can absolutely do that. I know, for example, certain mortgage or industries, as well as insurance firms, will essentially assign it to different parts of the team once it gets to a certain stage. So if you've received all of the documents from them, and maybe if you've received the fact find back, it may need to go over to another member of the team. You can do that from within the platform, but we can also automate that as well at different stages of the process. You will also have the option from within here to book different appointments in. We have recently just done an appointments webinar that you can view on our YouTube channel, but essentially all it is a case of is just selecting the drop down of what type of appointment that is, whether it is a telephone consultation, and from that point you can then select next. That will then show the availability from within your calendars. So if you are using an external calendar like Google or Teams, then we can absolutely pull that through. That will then pick up my availability that I have for today, and I can then confirm the appointment. And again, you can have your reminders, your automations that go out to the client, letting them know, obviously, that that's all been booked in. The next thing is just around the fact finds and around different types of forms that we can build from within the platform. So it is just a case of going to journeys and selecting that. Once you've done that, it will then build that form within the platform for you. So anything that you've previously filled in or any information you've already got on the client, maybe from what they've filled in on inquiry forms or through conversations you've had with them, will automatically fill in on the lead record. So as you can see, these are all updated already, and it does just save me that manual task of going into each individual one and duplicating that work by filling it all in again. You will have the option from here. Again, we do have a separate webinar on the journeys, but you will have things like your drop downs. You will have an unlimited amount of journey fields, as well as different calculations, as well as obviously if you wanted signature boxes, images, anything like that within here. We can also add your branding and logos onto here, and we can also do conditional logic. So say, for example, if I've just selected this option here, it has now generated a second set of boxes. So rather than having a really long form, we can actually narrow that down, and it will only show the next questions based off their previous answers. So it just means you've got everything all in one place, all of your forms, your documents, your telephone calls, all on that lead record directly. So if somebody was to come into the platform and they've never seen this lead before, they've got every single bit of information that they needed prior, where you can follow up with the client. You can also email out to them, call them directly from the system if you have a dialer as well. So now that that's just showed you obviously how the lead record works, I am just going to show you the actual back end of the system as well and how we would actually configure this for you. So as Fee mentioned, we do have the setup included free of cost as part of the onboarding process. So that means that you will essentially have a certain allocated amount of time with our implementation team, where we would essentially build the platform for you. So just for context, we do have something that we call lead groups. Each of these lead groups will essentially have different types of statuses, automations that might happen, as well as completely different questions. So if you are maybe a firm that sells both mortgage and insurance, or maybe if you're in the health sector and you've got different parts of the business, we can actually categorize them leads and send different automations out based on the type of product that you're selling. So as you can see, I do have plenty of different options here of industries that I usually typically do my demos for, and each of them will have their own setup behind the scenes. So as you can see at the top, you can view and tick which ones you actually want to see on the lead summary. So rather than having a lot of information on there, you can actually tick and improve which ones you actually are relevant to your business. As well as the option for your additional fields. So it is just a case of us inputting them in here. For example, if you do have different types of purchases, we can also include different drop downs based off you and your business. So there's nothing generic really about the build. We do tailor it specifically to you and your process and your team and how they work day to day. But everything will essentially be categorized within the platform. Again, if I just go back to this page here, we also have the option for different lead types. So if you do want everything to be under the same bracket and have everything under the mortgage lead group, we can still segment them to have different lead types as well. So whether that is a first time buyer lead, a buy to let, equity release, everything is essentially segmented, which will then help you later down the line for your reporting and maybe the teams that actually work with them specific products. But essentially each of them will have their own categorization as well. Exactly the same process with the user groups. You can actually segment different members of the team into different groups of people as well. So as you can see here, we've got a sales team. Internally, we have things like the implementation team, the support team. You might even have things like the accountants, where they can actually work in groups of people. This will also work when the leads are coming directly into the platform as well. So if you are wanting to distribute leads evenly, each of them will have their own setup. So you can actually choose how many leads you want them to get a day or a month, and whether you want that to be random or sequential as well. So it does just mean that any leads that are coming in day to day, especially the inbound stuff, will be split equally between each of the team members. Now moving on to just around the actual templates, what we will then have is all of your templates stored within each of the systems. So you will have different lead groups to categorize these again. So if you do have different email or SMS templates based on your product, we can actually segment them directly within the system as well. So each of these will essentially have different types of automations that are linked to them so that they do go out specifically at the point that you need it to. And just an example of what the emails would look like under the new email editor that we have, you can have all of your different images, different information that is on there, and it will also give you the option to preview as well. So if you do want to see what it would look like from both mobile and desktop, you can absolutely flick between the two to view that directly within the platform. It will also give you your image to text ratio. So if it's in green, it means you're good to go. It means that everything will work correctly. If it is in red, it just means that it might not help with your deliverability. So it does mean that we will prompt you essentially to make sure that the emails that go out are the best that can be done as part of that implementation and the setup process as well. You will have your different text boxes, images, as well as different options to save. So again, as part of the implementation, we will create different saved categories that you can actually implement from within the system. So it is just a case of then dragging and dropping, and everything is already pre-built into the platform. We can also create different defaults. So if you wanted like a reply email that also has your headers, footers on there, as well as user signatures, we can do that. So that's not something that you have to do each time. It is just defaulted automatically from the platform. So now just going back to the lead record itself, what you'll then find within the platform, essentially when these emails go out, is different areas around the emails. So you can see here that I've got some that are opened, some that have been delivered. You will also see if they've been clicked as well. So if they have clicked on a link that is already within the platform, but it will give you that full viewing from within there. Exactly the same process with the reports. We can actually pull all of that data into one. Where you'll have all of the different options to choose from around whether that is around your emails, your SMS, the statuses, user activity reports as well. So these are the ones that are already pre-built into the platform and on our lower tier packages. It just means that you'll have your table view and it will automatically pull that data through. Or alternatively, we do also have what we call the insight reporting. So the insight reporting is essentially the more in-depth reports that will show all of the data that you have within the platform, including your additional fields as well. So any data that you've customized within the platform, within them 50 additional fields, will also show within these reporting as well. So you will have the option to see any reports that have previously been run, as well as the option for your pinned reports on the left-hand side. But you can create new reports, blank ones that are already within the platform. So things around your lead data, also your contacts and the activity as well. So say, for example, if you did want to create a report, you do have the option to choose what type of report that is, whether that is a pie chart, line chart, etc. But what this will help you do essentially is see what leads are working, what areas are performing better than others, maybe around the user activity of who's making more calls, who's sending more emails out, so that you can categorically see how your process is working and where it isn't within the system. So If you were to pull a report maybe around your marketing sources, if you are also getting leads from lead providers, maybe through Google Ads or PPC, you can categorically see which ones have converted, which ones are working well, and where to reinvest that money to get more leads in. So again, like I said, you can actually configure these to have your own field. So if you did just want to search for them, they will show up within the platform. But once that's all been built, you will then have the option to download as a CSV or an XML, or alternatively, the option to schedule out as well. So you can just pop your email addresses in here. It doesn't have to be somebody that uses the platform, and it can be somebody that is external as well. So maybe if you did want to send it out to maybe your lead provider around the leads that you've received, you can then schedule that out directly. So it could be on a Monday morning at 7 o'clock before you've started work. You already have that report there ready to see how the previous week has performed. And then the last thing to walk you through is just around the actual workflows and how we get all of these different automations to happen. Each of these different workflows are essentially going to trigger at the time and date that you say. So whether that is a day after, a day before, and maybe if it's been a no answer, we can trigger these to happen based off obviously the stuff that you're doing within the system. So if I just open one up here quickly, you can see that obviously we've got it to change the status automatically. We've also got some task details as well as an email, but we do have plenty of different options from within here. So whether that is to contact the customer, the user, which is you guys, and the actual team members that are using the platform, as well as to start and trigger different workflows as well. So it's a really simple process. All you need to do is select the option that you're needing, pick the template that you then want to send out, and then you'll have the option to choose when you want this to happen. So do you want it to be on day 1, day 2, and so on? And then you can just update that from within the platform. So as you can see here, as soon as the platform is the lead is received into the system, that will automatically send out email 3. But 3 days later, the second email is then going to go out to the client as well. So we will build these internally as part of your onboarding process, but it just gives you an idea of the type of stuff that we can set up within the system as well, just so that you know on your requirements call exactly what the process is and what needs to be done. So that is everything that I had to show today. I will just give you a little overview just around what would happen in regards to next steps as well. But essentially, if you decided to onboard with FLG, I would remain your account manager for the first 12 months to help you settle into the platform, make sure that you have all of the information that's needed, as well as health check calls and training with the team. You will also be handed over to the implementation team the day of onboarding to book in your requirements call, where essentially you'll spend the first month with the implementation team to get your system configured exactly how you need it as well. So there is plenty of support available. We also have our UK-based support team there available for telephone calls or ticket-based systems as well. So there is always a helping hand when it comes to the onboarding process as well. But that is everything I had to show you guys today. Like I said, if you'd prefer to have a one-on-one demo, then you can book that in directly with myself and we can go into more detail around how that would work for you and your business.
Brilliant. Thanks very much, Eloise. It's I know you made that look very simple, but also it just shows that how easy it is to get up and running, because it does look like a really simple and intuitive product to use. So thanks very much for your time, everybody. And yeah, please do drop Eloise a line if you would like to explore FLG a bit further. This was a whistle-stop tour, but there's plenty more to see. All right, thanks very much. Bye.